Welcome to the course on data communication and networking, week 10, session 1. In previous session, students have learned medium access control. Under that, they have learned random access protocols. So today we'll finish the random access protocol, the last method, CSMA, CA. Then we'll discuss control access channels and we'll discuss as well final channelization protocol. This is last method under the random access protocol, that is carrier science multiple access with collision avoidance. Now, please keep in your mind, this method is applicable to only wireless communication. Please do not think of this CSMACA is applicable to wireline and fiber optic. This is not applicable. This is applicable only to wireless communication, where there is no method to recognize collision. So in case of wireline communication, if there are two stations transmit simultaneously. So if there is a collision or spike in the signals, the other cables, they are also sensing whether the frame is collided or not. So these in wireline stations can sense whether my frame is collided with other frames or not. That is not the possibility in wireless communication. If two laptops are sending their signals to access points, because access point is intermediate device, so if by chance it collides with each other, but this station doesn't sense or doesn't listen on whatever happening in their sending signals. So that is not possible in wireless communication. That's a limitation of wireless communication. So this wireless communication station could not recognize collision. That's why they have to adopt another method, whether to ensure that whatever I send that is received successfully or not. So that's why they have a multiple options. They have multiple methods. Above all, there is an acknowledgement method which ensures that there is no collision. So let's see what strategies CSMACA uses to avoid the collision or to reduce the collisions. So these strategies reduces collision. It does not guarantee that it will not the collisions will be zero. It reduces collision. So strategies are interference space, that is known as IFC, IFS, condenser window that we are going to see soon, and there is a method acknowledgement. So physical layer in wireless communication, they accept acknowledgement from the receiver. So it comes to know my frame is not collided with other stations. That is available at physical layer in wireless communication. Acknowledgement is available at transport layer in wireline communication. So there is a huge difference in wireline and wireless communication with respect to acknowledgement supported at physical layer. So OSI model says that the acknowledgement may be received at physical layer, data link layer, network layer, or transport layer. TCP/IP says that if it is wireline, the acknowledgement will be received at transport layer, and if it is wireless, the acknowledgement will be received at physical layer. Although another acknowledgement will be received at transport layer as well, but it to guarantee for delivery the wireless communication aspect, the acknowledgement mechanism should be implemented at physical layer, and then it by default it is available at transport layer in the both the cases, wireline and wireless. So these are the three strategies. This is a flowchart for CSMA CA. K is the number of attempts, means this is first time collision, second time collision, third time collision, or same frame observe the first time collision, second time collision, or third time collision, or nth time collision. So that is number K. TB is a back of time. IFS stands for interference space that we are going to discuss soon. There are three types of IFS space time. This is nothing but time duration. RTS as request to send, it's a packet, small packet, that is known as RTS, request to send, and this is also small packet, it's a clear to send. It's acknowledgement of RTS. CTS is known as ACK of RTS. So let's start. Whenever any station has a frame to send, this is a first time, so that's why the K equal to 0. Then it goes to channel is free. It continuously senses the channel is free. So we saw in previous session, it sends the continuously free or not. This is medium is busy. Once the medium is free, it waits for IFS time. So it waits for IFS duration of time. And then it chooses a random number r between 0 to 2 raised to k minus 1, where k is equal to the atom number. So this r will be chosen such a way that it falls under 0 to 2 raised to k minus 1 and uses r slot. Then it sends, after that waiting of r, that's a time, it say if again it sends the channel. If channel is free, then it sends RTS frame. RTS stands for request to send. It's a small packet. After sending RTS, it sets a timer. If it doesn't receive CTS upon this timer, it will again resend RTS. So there is maybe a chance that RTS may collide with RTS of other stations as well. This is set a timer. This is for sending machine. Send RTS. Set a timer for RTS. If CTS received before timeout, then wait for IFS amount of time. Then send a frame. So when the RTS is sent, after sending of RTS, it waits for this timer. After timer gets expired, it waits for IFS amount of time, and then it sends actual data. So to send the data, observe channel, IFS, wait for an amount of time, that's between the range of 0 to 2 raised to k minus 1, send RTS, wait for CTS, receive the CTS over here, wait for IFS amount of time, and then send data. So to send this much of amount of data, it waits for this longer of duration. Which is not available in CSMACD as in wireless communication. Because in wireless communication, it will not wait in wireline communication. This is because of wireless communication. Station doesn't have an idea, doesn't have a mechanism, doesn't have a technology to support whether my frame is collided or not. So that's why it waits for, it ensures before sending the data, it ensures for this much duration mind that my frame will not collide with other frame. So after waiting for this mechanism or after waiting for this longer duration of time, there will not be a chance that this frame will collide with frames of others. Then it sends a frame, set a timer. If acknowledgement received a physical layer, if it is not received, k equal to k plus, when it concludes that data my frame is collided, then it waits for TB per second. TB it's a backup time, and then it starts whole process again. So what is interframe space? Interframe space, it's a one type of timer, as I said. It's a very short duration of time which is used to identify collision, or because of IFS, collisions are avoided by deferring transmission even if the channel is found idle. When an ideal channel is found, the station does not send immediately, it waits for the period of IFS, that is interference space that we have seen over here, IFS. Even before sending RTS, it waits for, before sending a data, it waits for IFS amount of time. Condenser window. So this is IFS. It waits for interference space duration, and then it's a binary exponential. These are the condenser window. This is slot time 1, slot time 2, slot time 3. These all the slot times are same. But how many slot times? That depends on the equation 2 raised to k minus 1. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 slot times. Acknowledgement, as I said, wait all these up. We are taking sufficient precaution, but that is not sufficient. That does not answer us that whether frame collides or not. With all these precautions, there still may be a collisions, resulting in destroying of data. In addition, the data may be corrupted during the transmission. The positive acknowledgement and the timeout timer can help guarantee that the receiver has received the frame. So positive timeout, that's what we can see in this diagram. So this is pictorially it is mentioned. This is source and destination. C and D, there are other stations. There may be another station like E and F as well. A wants to communicate to B, so it waits for DFS amount of time first. So this is a new terminology that's known as distributed coordinated interference space, which is larger than SIFS. So this is larger duration, which ensures that nobody is sending data. Then it sends RTS, request to send. Then session B, upon receiving RTS, it waits for SIFS amount of time. and it gives CTS, clear to send. Then, after waiting SFS amount of time, the station A sends its own data. Now, as C, N, D, E, and F, there are other stations, they are under the coverage area of this network. So, whatever the conversation is going between A and B, that is visible to C and D as well. So, you can see over here, let's say this is wireless access point, not a machine. The machine A wants to communicate to C. This is not perfect diagram for A to C, but before sending of data A to C, data first goes to A to B, and B will send to data C. So these will be repeated for B to C as well. So A want to send to B, A want to send to C, but it has to send to access point B. So it sends RTS to access point. Access point will give a response to RTS. It will send CTS. So it's as this access point is having omnidirectional antenna. These signals will be radiated out in all the directions. That's why the CTS will be heard by all other machines. So once upon listening or receiving CTS, then they will C and D will come to know the channel or the chance for sending of data is given to machine A. So they will not send any data because so next few seconds of time, few milliseconds of time, machine A will occupy data that will be known by C and D by this CTS way. Clear to send message. So clear to send message, what does it contains? It contains NAV. That's a network allocation vector. Network allocation vector indicates time duration for which, for example, let's say time equal to 5 seconds. 5 seconds. Next 5 microseconds, machine A will acquire this channel. So that in that way, machine C and D will not send its data. Although if it has a data to send, it will wait till this 5 second gets expired. Then machine A, after waiting for SFS, sends data, and after receiving data successfully at access point, it waits for SFS amount of time and it gives acknowledgement. Now, as I said, this is source and the C is a destination. So same procedure, whatever we have seen over here, that will be followed between B and C. Same procedure. Then C will receive your frame, which is sent by A. So let's go to the next method. The first method we have seen random access. This is second method that is known as control access. So control access, as its name itself, there is one central station or some station or one of the stations will monitoring all the activities and it controls who will have access to this channel next. So that we have not seen in random access method, either CSMA method, CSMA CD method, or CSMA CA method. In all those three methods, whatever we have discussed, including Pure Aloha and Aloha, whomsoever has the data to send, it senses the channel, then it can send data immediately if the channel is free. But in this control access channel, there is no sense of channel. Each and everyone has to follow the instruction by the supervisor or central station. So in control access, the station consults one another to find which station has a right to send. A station cannot send unless it has been authorized by other stations. So let's say there are 4 machines or 5 machines. So this is becomes a primary machine, and all this machine has to consult this machine to acquire this channel or to send a data. So there are 3 methods: reservation method, polling method, and token passing method, which facilitates control access. In reservation, that is first method. A station needs to make a reservation before sending a data. So just like what we are having a train reservation. We are booking our seats well in advance. So some say same way. These are the slots. We can say seats of train. These are the 5 stations and seats of train. During first iteration, this is iteration number 1. This is iteration number 2, and then iteration number 3, and subsequently so on. So this is iteration number 1, iteration number 2, iteration number 3. From these angles, we need to read this diagram. So this is iteration number 1. In iteration number 1, these are the slots for first station, second station, third station, fourth station, 5 station. Means there is a network topology which has 5 stations. So out of 5 stations, the first station wants to send its own time slot, third station wants to send its own time slot, and four station wants to send. So next subsequent data, so there will be a gap between two data from station 1, station 3 and station 4. Subsequent three data or three frame can be sent by station 1, station 3 and station 4 respectively, because they have booked their slots. In the next iteration, station 1 has booked the slots. None of the other station want to transmit data. So next, whatever only station 1 can transmit data. Then in iteration 3, none of them wants to transfer data, so there will be empty slots. So this is known as reservation method. So you can implement via this RTS and CTS. Using RTS and CTS, we can implement these reservation methods. Means center sessions will receive the reservation or request from all the machines. Upon receiving request, center session will send these reservation. And once all the machines will receive this reservation, its specific of interval we will send. For example, session 1 will send 8000 second. Session 2 there is a no chance, and this duration is, let's say, 5 microseconds. 5 microseconds. So for first 5 microseconds, station 1 will send. Station 2 don't want to send, but next 5 microseconds, station 3 will send. Next 5 microseconds, station 4 will send, and station 5 don't want to send. So total 15 microseconds, the channel will be occupied by station 1, station 3 and station 4 respectively. The next iteration, station 1 wants to send only, so it will request to the central authority. Central authority will give this allocation or reservation vector to rest others. Only first machine wants to transmit, so then data will be occupied by first station, or channel will be occupied by first station for 5 microseconds, and so on. So over here, time is divided into intervals that we have discussed already. The next method is polling method. The polling method, it is made of two steps: select and poll. Select and poll. Or you can either use select or poll. Polling works with the topologies which one device is designated as a primary station and other devices are acting as a secondary station. So in this case, this is primary, A and B are secondary. So this is the device which controls this whole channel allocation. The selection method, SCL, it's a packet that is sent to B. B will send acknowledgement and primary station will send data to B. Now this method is applicable where primary wants to send data to specific station. This is for primary to secondary data. So primary's data intimates to any other machine or secondary station that I am sending you data, this data belongs to you. So although the A and B, they are under the coverage area of this station, or they are connected to common wire line, but both the machines will receive data, but A will drop the data, B will accept the data. So that is select acknowledgement. This arrow does not mean it will be only sent to B. This line indicates it will be received by A, but A will drop that frame, B will accept that frame. Acknowledgement then will be sent by B to primary on the same line. So that acknowledgement will be received by A, that's not intended, so it will be removed. That is intended for primary, it will be accepted. Same way data will be signed, acknowledgement will be signed in the reverse direction. So this is polling method. Sorry, select method. Polling method. In polling method, the primary station will poll two continuously by each and every station. That do you want to send? If A has a data to send, right now the A doesn't have a data to send, so it will give negative acknowledgement. Then primary, again primary station sends to B. Again that request is sent to the common bus, so that request will be heard by machine A, but that is not intended for A. It will be received by B. So B will receive a poll message, then it sends data to primary machine, then it sends acknowledgement that the data is received. So there are two methods. One method that is a select, where primary data wants to send a data, and the poll method where the secondary station wants to send a data to primary. Third method is token passing method. In token passing method, the stations in a network are organized in a logical ring. In other words, for each station, there is a predecessor and successor. So there are four scenarios. This is physical ring. So this is predecessor and this is successor for the machine number 1. Same way for the other scenarios as well. This is one-way ring, this is two-way ring, this is ring with implemented is a using common bus system, where the physically, this is physically they are common bus system, but logically means at layer 2 they are ring topology. These two cases are physical as well as logical, they are ring topology. This physically is common bus, logically is ring topology. This is somewhat different or in hybrid of these two topology. This is physical ring and logical ring as well. So this station 1 is connected over here. The incoming pin is goes over here to station, outgoing pin goes here. 3 and 4, all these machines are connected like this. So that is star ring topology. The beauty of this topology, if the station 1 goes down, the ring will be reformed by automatically by hardware in that way. So this was the scenario early days. Nowadays this scenario is not nowhere used in traditional network, but in case of specialized research segments, still it is in use. So physical ring topology, station 1 will send token or will have a will start circulating one token or one small control frame. It sends to 2. If station 2 has a data to send, upon receiving this frame, station number 2 can send its own frame. Then after sending off data, station 2 will send a control frame to 4. 4 can send data now because it has a control frame. Then once the station 4 finishes sending of data, control frame will be sent to station 3. So over here control frame plays important role, that is known as token. So whomsoever is having a token, they can send data. Rest others will be in receiving mode. So there will be 0% of collision. 0% of collision, or there will be zero chance of collision. This is the method where collision is 0. So this is the same way as we have seen the first physical ring. This is dual ring, but it can send and receive in both the direction. Or we can use this is for primary sending of data. This we can use token passing channel. So token will be circulated in reverse manner, where data will be circulated in forward direction. Same way over here, using this common bus, the control frame can be sent to a station 2, 3, and 4. Whomsoever is having a token, they can send data. But over here, as it is common bus system, for example, it will be sent to rest others, all other stations in the network. For example, station 3 wants to send to 2, station 3 wants to send a packet to 2, but it cannot send because right now it does not have a token. Once the station 3 receives token, then it can send the data, but data goes to station 1, this common line, station 2 and station 4. Station 2, 4 will drop that frame, station will drop that frame, station 2 will accept that frame. That is bus ring or token ring topology. This is what we have discussed. This is similar to this dual ring or physical ring, depending on the number of wires it has. But advantage of this method is if one station goes down, network will not get suffer. Over here, if this station goes down, whole network gets suffer. This commutator goes down, whole network gets suffered. In these two topology, bus ring and star ring topology, if one station goes down, it will not network will not suffer from, or network will not go down. So this is of method which comes under token passing. The last method of acquiring channel is channelization. Channelization is nothing but channel partition, or it is sometimes called the multiple access methods. There are three methods available: FDMA, TDMA, and CDMA. FDMA stands for frequency division multiple access. TDMA stands for time division multiple access. CDMA stands for code division multiple access or chirp division multiple access. Code and chirp it is same. Code and chirp it is same, but ultimately there are some binary code, binary combinations. In frequency and division multiple access, the available bandwidth is divided into frequency bands as it is in GSM. Each band is reserved for a specific station and belongs to the station all the time. Each station also uses bandpass filter. Bandpass filter means it filters specific frequency range to receive the data or to filter the data. To prevent station interferences, the allocated bands are separated from one another by small guard bands. For example, this is a frequency, this is whole frequency band, and this frequency is given to station 1. Then there is a space, this frequency, then there is a space, this frequency. So this band is having a 3 frequency, F1, F2 and F3. This is enter frequency. So you can have this left side and right side frequency, and there will be a small space between these two. So that is acting as a guard band. Guard band eliminates overlapping of signals, so it reduces interference. So reduce interferences, there is a space available over here. So in FDMA, this is pictorial representation of frequency. Station 1 uses this frequency. This is vertical is a frequency F1, F2, F3 and F4. Station 2 uses F2 frequency. Station 3 uses F3 frequency. Station 4 uses F4 frequency. And over a channel, common channel, F1, F2, F3, F4, all these channel can exist without any interference because there is a space between, little bit space between in all this frequency. So all these exist because they are operated over different frequencies. As we saw in the previous methods, that is the random access methods, what was the scenario? Only single frequency exists and all the stations are competing to access that frequency. When in this FDMA, the frequency is divided into number of small frequencies, frequency band, and those frequency not band range, and those frequency range exist same time. So these stations can communicate with each other without any interference or without any collisions. Interference means collisions. The next method is time division multiple access that is used by our Wi-Fi, and random access method what we have discussed, that is nothing but TDMA. In TDMA, each station will have a specific time slot. This is time slot 1, 2, 3 and 4, all 4 stations, and their data exists on with respect to time duration. So this method is known as TDMA. They use the same frequency. Station 1, station 2, station 3 and station 4 use the same frequency F1. The next method is known as code division multiple access. This is last method of channelization method, code division multiple access. Code division multiple access, it was not available before, as FDMA and TDMA was available, but advancement in technology or implementation of those kind of antenna makes it possible to have a code division multiple access. So code division multiple access differs from FDMA in that only one channel occupies the entire bandwidth. So what I have discussed, this is one bandwidth that is distributed among FDMA. Using FDMA, it is distributed as different frequencies. In CDMA, whole frequency bandwidth is allocated, but there will not be division of this frequencies allocated by or will be used by this machine. Second, it differs from TDMA in that all systems can send data simultaneously. So this whole frequency spectrum and this frequency spectrum will be used by all the time. There is no time division. Time is not divided. All can send data and receive data at the same time. So to understand this analogy, to understand the CDMA, let's look at analogy. CDMA simply means communication with different codes. For example, a large room is there with many people, and two people can talk privately in English if nobody else understands English. Same way, another two people can talk in Chinese if there are only one who those two who understand Chinese, and so on. So if there are four persons are there in a pair of two, they can understand English, they can understand Chinese, they can understand Chinese. So they will not interfere with each other. They can understand each other, provided that they speak very slow, and that has to be sufficient so that others can understand. In other words, the common channel, the space of the room is, in this case, is a common, can easily allow communication between several couples by different languages. So there is a single, in this in our single room, there are four persons. So these two guys are communicating English, these two guys communicating in Chinese. So they can talk to each other over us on single room. That's a in a single common channel. So how does it work? Let's see. But by taking one example, the station 1 wants to send D1, station 2 wants to send to D2, station 3 D3, and station 4 D4 respectively. Each and every station will have a code that is known as C1. This is also known as chirp or code C1, C2, C3. So before sending a data, it multiplies with D1. So D1 into C1, D2 into C3, D3 into C4, and D4 into C4. So the code, each and every system will have a C1, C2, C3, and C4. They will multiply with data, and that those frequencies or those data will be added together. Means if it is amplitude, amplitude will be added together. D1 into C1 because D1 into multiply by over here. So then D1 into C1 and D2 by D2 into C2, D3 into C2, D4 into C4. So those will be available on common media, but upon receiving a specific station, what it does, let's see in the next slide. So this code, that is whole data, will be received by all the stations, all the stations. So let's say this code D1 wants to send this station 1 wants to send to station 4. So this data will be visible to station 4 as well. So D1 into C1 plus D2 into C2 plus D3 into C3 plus D4 into C2, which is available on air, that will be available to station 4 as well. So now what station 4 does or any station does upon receiving those data, it multiplies with this its own sequence. Let's say instead of C4, this is for station 1, C1. You can understand if this is station 4, we may have a C4 over here. So D1 C1 into C1, this is with respect to station 1, but station 4 D1 C1 into C4 plus D2 C2 C4 D3 C3 C4 D4 C4 C4. Now that's a prerequisite to select this code C1 C2 C3 C4 such a way that if C1 into C1 it results into 4, C1 into any other combinations 2 3 or 4, either to C2 C3 or C4, it results into 0. So that the C1 C2 C3 C4 has to be selected such a way that it adheres this property. So that is using matrix formula we can easily find out what can be C1 C2 C3 and C4. The example is given over here, we'll see. So this D1 C1 C4, so C1 into C4 equal to 0, C2 into C4 equal to 0, C3 into C4 equal to 0, C4 into C4 equal to 4. So this results into 4 into D4. Okay, so D4 receives this channel or receives this data on this channel. It multiplies with C4, and whatever it receives, it divides by 4. So it has received 4 into D4, so it divides by 4. 4 into D4 by 4 equal to D4. So it will receive the data D4. So station 4 will extract its own information if it multiplies with its own code number. But in this case, station 1 sends to station 4. Station 4 wants to know what was sent by station 1. So what it does, it multiplies with C1. So D1 into C1 into C1, D2 into C2 into C1, D3 into C2, C3 into C1, D4 into C4 into C1 equal to 4 into D1. As this becomes 0, this becomes 0, this becomes 0 by following this property. And this is 4 into D1, it divides by 4, so it will get D1. So if station 4 wants to get what is sent by station 1, it multiplies with the chirp or sequence or code of station 1. So another prerequisite, all station must know code of each other. Code of each other. That is a prerequisite of this method. So this C1, C2, C3 and C4, this is the example. We cannot choose randomly, but this is selected such a way that C1 and C2 has to be 0, C2 any other combinations will be 0, but if we multiply with its own self, it results in 4. This example is given. This C1 is plus 1, all the stations are plus 1. C2 is plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, minus 1. 2 plus, 2 minus, plus, followed by 2 minus, and last one plus 1. And station 1 wants to send minus 1. Station 2 wants to send minus 1. Station 3 wants to send silent, don't want to send anything, so that's why 0. And station 4 wants to send plus 1. So what it does it first? C1 into D1. So C1 into D1 minus 1 because it wants to send minus 1, minus 1, minus 1 and minus 1. That's why D1 into C1. Then this station don't want to send anything. That's why it keeps silent. So 0, 0, 0, 0. Station 2 wants to send minus 1. So that's why minus 1 will be multiplied by this one. So minus 1, minus 1, minus 1 and plus 1. Minus minus becomes plus. Station 4 wants to send plus 1. So whatever it has code that will be sent over here. So there are three possibilities. Either C equal to C or C equal to invert of C, or it will be 0. Invert of C means minus 1 becomes 1, 1 becomes minus 1. So that's invert of C. So if user wants to send plus 1, so this will be the condition, minus 1, this will be the condition, 0, so 0 will be sent. Then those data will be combined together. So minus 1 plus 0 minus 1 and plus 1. So this minus 1 minus 1 minus 2 minus 2 plus 1 minus 1. Same way, second bit, third bit and fourth bit, this will be the result. After this combination, this is combined data, it is of 4 digit or 4 places, that is also heard by all the stations. So if machine 2 wants to receive what is sent by machine 1, so it will multiply this with its own the bit pattern of C1. So this minus 1 plus 3 and plus 1 will be multiplied by with plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 and plus 1, which is sequence of machine A station 1, and it results 4 minus 4, it results into minus 4, and if we multiply or divide by 4 we will get minus 1. So this station comes to know minus 1 is signed by station 1. So this way each and every station will send its minus 1 and 0 1, minus 1 plus 1 and 0 1, and the other stations can identify what is sent by other stations by multiplying its chip or code of specific station with combined signal. So these techniques now currently are used by all the telecom operator. What is the advantage of this method? Whole bandwidth spectrum is available, because in voice telephony there is no prediction or there is no specific schedule time slots available where the person talks to other person. So in that case, this CDMA is better suitable. CDMA gives very good utilization of bandwidth. In summary, student have learned media access control, and that we have discussed random access protocols, CSMA, CSMA-CD, CSMA-CA. Before that, we started with Aloha, pure Aloha. Control access methods, where we have seen three methods: hold and select, reservation, and token passing. And the last method, it's a channelization protocol, where we have discussed FDMA, TDMA, and CDMA. Thank you for watching this video.